Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is Wednesday night, which means here on Nerdsmith, it's time for Obscurum. I'd like to go ahead and give a huge thanks to our sponsors. That is World Anvil. You can create and build your own world. Light up the forge with World Anvil. Also, Die Hard Dice. For all of your dice needs, they are absolutely fantastic. You want to roll with the best? Roll with Die Hard Dice. Welcome, everyone. My name is Heath. I am the MC for the evening as we go into Obscurum, a City of Mist game. I am joined tonight by some fantastic individuals. If you will notice, if you've been watching, we have been, we're down one person. We're not down. She's with us spiritually. But I will go ahead and give a brief introduction for her. Our very own Nix, who usually plays Yvonne, is currently in the midst of a production. If you're in the Chicago area, please go support our lovely friend. She will be performing La Strada at City Lit Theater, November 21st to the 24th. So that means tomorrow through, what is that, Saturday or Sunday? La Strada is a story of 7 female clowns telling the story of Federico Fellini and the making of La Strada and his relationship with the women in his life. So please go check her out if you're in the Chicago area. We want to thank you all so much. With that being said, again, my name is Heath. I am the MC for the City of Mist game. You can find me out there on the web as at DireBearAC on Twitter, on Twitch at DireBearGM, where I actually run a show on Monday nights. Go check us out if you would. With me tonight is, let's go ahead and start with Mr. Carl. Your audio, sir.
Haha! I'm Carl Jordan. You can find me on Twitter as RPG Carl. You can also find me on Tuesday nights playing in an Aberrant game on the Onyx Path channel. And tonight I am playing Jack Cased, intrepid investigator who is starting to get a handle on this nightmare we've all been thrown into.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next, we have Colton.
Hello, I'm Colton. You can follow me on Twitter at ColtonZ9 or follow me on Instagram at ColtonX9. And I will be playing Professor Robert Owens tonight, a British socialite and bug nerd.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Mr. Rev.
Hey everybody, this is Rev. I am the host and GM of The Crit Show, an actual play podcast where we play Monster of the Week and other Powered by the Apocalypse games. You can find me on Twitter at RevDeshane, and I am playing Dr. Alexander White, who nightlifes as the Raven.
Excellent. Thank you all so much. One more minor announcement before we jump into the game tonight. As you can see, next week is, for those of us in the States, it is our Thanksgiving. So that being said, Nerdsmith will be on vacation next week. So not only our show, but all the other shows are going to take a little hiatus as we enjoy time with our families and give thanks and things like that. So we will see you all the following week, where we should be joined by the full cast and crew, as far as I know. All right. With that being said, let's get into it. Last week on Obscurum, we had our friends wrap up the aims and misses as they found out that the jazz musician, who was currently invisible, was actually invisible. Controlling his own powers was a problem that he had, but they found out that they had a tentative going with Miss June Perkins, the owner of the Tilt-A-Whirl. With that being said, our intrepid adventure hero group, who may not have fallen into one another by accident or by fate, but it has been a wonderful week, about a week, it doesn't say, events at the Tilt-A-Whirl. Let's see what they've been up to. We're going to go ahead and start. Mr. Carl.
Sorry. The city was always a dangerous place. That part was part of its appeal for a schmuck like me willing to get his hands into the dirt to find the root of a problem. But these days seem even darker with all this newfound knowledge. There are people with powers running around, and I might be one of them. Worse, I might be one of the least knowledgeable about his own new potential. With the possible exception of Ames, the invisible bugler, But even Horning now knows how to turn it on and off. Since I seem to have a few days of freedom, it's probably high time I got ahead of some of these problems, including some of the people who seem to know better than me how their new gifts work, and they're not afraid to use it like a crowbar. So step 1, work the case. June Perkins, owner of the Tilt-A-Whirl, is supposed to be our ally now, but it's under duress. And she's the kind of dame to just as soon plug you as help you if she thinks there's a profit in it. But along with her recent crimes involving Ames, we found quite a few trophies of past sins. My first few days will be spent digging up the dirt on those skeletons. Next time she wants to move against us, I'll have a handful of clues to give the bulls to make her life a big bag of cats. Step 2, spend the rest of the week exploring my new gifts. I think I'm going to be going out of town for a little while. It's going to take some room and privacy to fire a gun that claps like thunder. But by the end of it, hopefully I'll come back with a better understanding of exactly what it is I'm carrying around. Maybe I'll be better prepared to defend my friends and not just make vague threats with it. And that brings me to my new friends. They're going to bear some looking after as well. Time will tell whether I need to dig up dirt on them, but for the moment, all of our goals align.
Excellent. In that time, Professor Owens, it's been about a week. What have you been doing with your time?
My last week has been very busy. Finals season is starting to rear its ugly head, so my students are hounding me for things, extra credit and the like. I now get why my professors told us not to wait for the last minute. I wish I had listened. Plus, my research partner, Elliot Langstrom, has been away, so I've had to pick up that extra slack on that project. June Perkins has also been a bother. While Jacqueline has been doing a good job keeping track of her, Miss Perkins is a very slippery woman. Though I have been swamped, my myrmidons have been advancing much further than expected. I managed to get a 5th myrmidon off the property, even though it was only for about 50 feet. Now I'm just wondering if the migraine it caused me was worth it. My uncle's old friends have been coalescing so near his birthday, so that's also something I'm going to have to deal with. Let's hope I'm up to the task.
All right. And last but not least, Dr. White.
Dr. White has spent his last week patrolling at night while doing the rounds during the day. And this night, at the end of the week, we find him standing on a rooftop in his full raven outfit. His legs are mostly smoke as he looks down over the city. And he starts to transform fully into smoke and move from rooftop to rooftop. This was all easier when I started. Back then it was just men with knives or guns trying to take something that wasn't theirs to take. A wallet, a purse, someone's sense of safety. And for most people, that gun pointed in your face makes the decision for you. You give up that little thing, that trinket, that symbol, because the risk of trying to keep it isn't worth the possible cost. But there's not much risk associated with that bullet or that blade for someone like me. What threat does a bullet pose to someone who can turn to smoke? And so it was easier then. Muggers, robbers, extortionists, all easy enough to deal with. But now, I'm not the only power on the street. Ever since that storm, I can't seem to turn around without bumping into someone who can turn people to gold with a mere touch, or summon the sword of Damocles out of their pistol. People who can bend your mind, your will, even your perception. And that complicates things too. I made an assumption when the 4 of us came together that night, that the risk associated with this lifestyle, the threats, the violence, the danger, that they were all known quantities for everyone involved. Now, I know they were for me. And I've seen that they were for Jack. I've seen him gun a man down, and you learn something about a person when you see them pull the trigger. And Jack didn't flinch. But then I see Yvonne holding that gun on June at the Tilt-A-Whirl, and it's not what I saw in Yvonne's eyes that unsettled me. It's what I saw in June's. That moment of recognition, of knowing the face, the name, and the life associated with it. And that recognition, it's the most complicated thing of all. The way I see it, you either revel in these powers we have, you show your face, you flash them around, you make it your identity, like Frank Castellone did. Or you do what I've done, and you draw a hard line between what you can do and your daily identity, and you hide your face, and you pray no one ever connects the dots. But the gray area that the professor and Yvonne are in right now, it leaves them vulnerable, puts innocent people at risk, and it makes it easier for people like June or Frank to connect dots. And the night we all met, I shared with them how I hid my face. It never occurred to me to tell them why. I need to have a talk with them and hope that this advice is not too little too late.
The Row. It's a place where the working stiff can find a life of their own. It's not uptown where the money lives, but it keeps you out of downtown where some of the stranger things occur and people live. It's close to everything in a city that provides a moderate lifestyle. It's a place, though, where help is needed the most. There above the rooftops of the Row, which is mostly brownstones, apartments, schools within the area, is the Raven. Mostly smoke. And something catches his eye.
Want to move in the direction of the lights that I see coming down that alleyway.
Okay. They're in an alleyway between two sets of apartment buildings. You can see the lights have already gone up. They're the flashing red and white and the red, white, and blues. You can see that the first responders are already on scene. Moving as quickly as you do. They've already got the alleyway kind of blocked off. You can see a couple of cops standing there, kind of keeping people out of the way. You can see the medical team, the ambulance, the guys there are already in the alleyway. And it looks like they're trying to treat someone.
I want to go into the mist form and try to get down into the alleyway by the paramedics on the opposite side where the police officers are.
Okay, so the police are this, so you're trying to go to the opposite end?
Yeah.
Okay. Not even going to make you roll for it. It's dark, it's night out, so unless you can find another reason why you might want to use sneak around.
No, I really just want to make sure that the paramedics see me before the cops do. I haven't had a horribly bad response from the cops, but this wouldn't be a good time to start.
You don't want to test your luck this evening.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, you easily move in the mist form, floating in with some steam rising out of one of the sewer grates, and you move down the alleyway almost unseen by them. You appear at the other end. When you appear, how do you appear? Do you appear in full regalia?
Yeah, in the full outfit, but without the smoke. Like, I'm not trying to make it. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to create the atmosphere. I want my footfalls to be heard. I want them to see me coming, with one hand raised. Is everything all right down here, gentlemen?
They turn and look in your direction, and both of them start back. You can see that they've got the stretcher out, the wooden handles on either side, and they've moved what appears to be a the frame of a boy or a smaller man onto the stretcher. They have the sheet pulled up to his head, but not over it, which gives you at least a little bit of hope. Where'd you come from?
I just came from down the alley. I wanted to check and see, is this person stable? Will they be able to make it where you're taking them?
Wait a minute. Are you? And the other one taps, he's like nudging the other one in the shoulder. It's him, I tell you. It's him. I've seen him in the paper. It's him. You're not taking this boy. He's still alive.
No, I don't want to take him. I want to help. I'm here to help you.
We need to get him back to the hospital quick. He's gonna be okay, but I think we can't really tell. If you want to help, the best thing you can do is just let us do our job. Don't hurt either one of us.
I want to stay where I'm at, but take a look at the boy with the lenses.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and give me a roll on that one. Investigate, since you're kind of like trying to see what's going on.
So I think I'm going to use from the lenses of Lorm, Healing Gaze, and an Eye for Weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think on Healing Hands, which is my routine, Chief Physician.
Okay. All right. Yeah, those would be good.
All right. I didn't activate them correctly. I burned them, but I still got a 10, so I will unburn them.
Please do. Looking at him through your lenses, you can see that his life, like the essence of his being that you've seen in other people, seems to be fading, as though he's at the edge of being dead, but not there yet. He's still holding on.
Please, gentlemen, just give me 1 second. This boy is not going to make it back to the hospital.
How do you know?
Because when there is illness, when there is sickness, I can see it. And, I look up at them, and because the lenses are glowing.
Right. They both kind of take a step back. Don't touch this boy. Don't hurt him. I've seen what you do in the paper. They say that you hurt people.
I promise you I won't lay a hand on him. And I'm going to keep my hands up, but I'm going to try to use the Healing Gaze on him from where I'm standing.
Mm-hmm. On the EMT?
On the boy. I'm going to try to use the actual Healing Gaze, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Fine. Yeah, actually, you can do that. And you see it kind of, I'm not even going to make you roll for it. It just kind of makes it come, like, stabilize, like he's not going to die. But you know that to really restore him and heal him back, it's going to take time, or it's going to take every ounce of energy you have in you, leaving you just kind of like laying there.
Does it seem like something, essentially what I'm thinking of is, does it seem like there's something unnatural draining his life force in the same way that I'm trying to kind of unnaturally feed him life force?
Not that it's draining, so it's not an ongoing thing, but it does look like it was something unusual, because from where you can see, normally you can see where like the entry point would happen. You don't really see any of that. You don't see the entry wound or anything. But it looks like whatever it did just drew that life out and then stopped there. So he wasn't in danger of dying. It just looks like they brought him down to that point and then stopped. But you've kind of restored him a little bit, so he has a little bit more life, but he is still unconscious right now.
All right. Yes, just please hurry. There's something bad going on in his system. Do you know what? No, just go. I'll ask the cops. I'm sorry.
They quickly lift the stretcher carefully and move him back to the ambulance where the door is already open. They slide him in carefully onto the cart there, and then secure everything down. They look down there. Are you still in your form?
I think I have just kind of settled down into the mist.
Okay. One of them looks back. As you can see, he's talking to the cop, and he points down the alleyway, but they don't see you now. And the cop looks down the alleyway, and you can hear them having a slight conversation. But then he just shakes his head and just kind of waves at the cop and closes the doors, and the ambulance speeds away.
And I want to essentially duck around the corner in my mist form and find a spot where I don't see anybody and change back to normal and approach this alley from the front, like I'm just on my way home.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's easy enough to do. So this had 2 apartment buildings, and then it had another building behind it that ran perpendicular to it. So it kind of gave it a T alley entrance there. So you can easily duck around this one and then get out to there.
Okay.
You pass a couple of storefronts on the right side or on your left side as you go around.
Yeah, and so as I approach the alley, I just want to ask anyone who's there, other than the cops first, if they saw or heard anything of what happened.
Okay. As you approach, you see them kind of moving a man. He looks a little distressed, but they're moving him into the vehicle, but not in such a way as like he's a perpetrator. More like he might have some information. But yeah, there are a total of 4 police officers there. One is guiding the man into the car. The other 3 are one of them is making notes. The other 2 are keeping people back at a distance. And about that time, you watch as it's definitely a fleet vehicle from the police department as it pulls up, and you can see kind of a cheap dime store rumpled suit gets out. He has brown shaggy hair, and kind of a thick mustache. He looks to be like in his, I'd say, late 30s. Clearly the detective on the case.
I think that seeing all of these police officers here and this detective arrive and someone who might have some information being tucked away into a car, I think the idea of having worked with some people in the past couple of weeks now is saturating him. It's kind of working its way in a positive way. And so I think I actually would turn on my heel and go to the nearest payphone and try to get a hold of Jack. Because I feel like if there's anyone who might be able to get into the police station and get information, either, grab the statement or talk to someone who can give him information on it, it's probably going to be Jack.
Okay. The current time of this evening, I would set it before midnight, probably around 8:30 or so. So it's of an evening, but it's not so late that, things would happen there. I will hand wave the phone call. I assume that Jack is available to answer said call, or is he still out of town?
This is at the end of the week. He's probably just getting back into town.
So just setting your luggage down inside of your apartment / office / workspace.
And the new phone that he just ordered last week rings. Yeah.
Starts ringing. Yep.
Yeah. And confirming, that's unusual. Yeah, I think I can get in. I'm heading there.
Thank you. It's something strange about it, Jack. I've never seen anyone. It almost seems like the opposite of what I can do. Like someone had drained this child. It didn't kill them, but almost flatlined them.
Definitely bears worth looking into.
Thank you.
All right. The row has its own precinct. Are you hailing a cab to get there, or are you just going to go on foot?
If it's close enough, I'll walk.
Okay. Probably so. I can imagine that Jack has a place in the row. It would make sense. Maybe on the lower side of the row, but still on the row. What about Dr. White? Just so I know, because it will change like where things are. So.
Yeah, I think that I would give it a few minutes, kind of stand around just to see if I can accidentally overhear anything. I don't want to try to get pushy with these cops. And then I would head over and find like a place to sit near the police station.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and give me kind of a sneak around, since you're kind of like trying to eavesdrop, but it's not really an investigate. You're just trying to overhear something.
Yeah, and I think that I'm gonna try to see if I can invoke 2 of my tags here. From my surgical precision, I'd like to try to use tactical mind, just kind of moving around, seeing who's talking, looking inconspicuous.
Sure.
And then if there's a chance that someone's going to catch me, to question me, going again with chief physician of, oh yes, I heard that someone was hurt. I just wanted to see if everyone was all right, as a reason to be poking around.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. Go for it.
That is a 9.
Okay. Yeah, standing there milling about, you watch as some of the people start to move away. You don't catch a whole lot of information from the detective as he's down the alleyway looking through things, but you can see he's got the big silver light out and he's shining it down. You see another officer who's there shining stuff around, trying to get an idea of the scene. As you watch most people kind of part ways, you're standing there, one of the police officers there, not the detective, but one of the officers kind of keeping people back, looks at you and says, hey, nothing to see. Go ahead and move on. You need to go ahead and go. This is an active investigation right here.
Oh, sorry. I was passing by. I wanted to make sure no one was hurt. I'm a doctor, so.
That's good, Doc. They taken the victim. He's already gone on in the to the hospital.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Did you were you here the whole time? Did you see anything?
No, I just was passing by and I heard some people muttering about someone being injured.
Okay. As the detective and the officer that were down the alleyway start to walk up, you hear the information of St. Augustine Hospital. And you hear them say that Dad was taken to the station, but he's being taken to St. Augustine once they ask him a few questions.
Yeah, so I will turn and head towards the police station.
Okay. Given the time for you to investigate or kind of stand there and get some information, and Jack, by the time you arrive at the station, you're both kind of Dr. White's been waiting for just a little bit, but not long. While you've been waiting, Dr. White, you see the same man that they had helped into the car. He comes out of the police station with another officer. They both climb into the front seats, and then they drive away in the direction of St. Augustine's Hospital.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, Jack, you arrive, you see a man getting into the car and pulling away, and Dr. White sitting there on a bench opposite of the precinct. Audio.
Heading towards Dr. White.
Okay.
Evening, Jack.
So, what are the numbers?
Well, the man that they took from the scene seems like it's the father of the boy. They just left, and I think they might be taking him towards St. Augustine. I would love to find out what happened without necessarily having to try to get into their room or traumatize them anymore. He looked pretty shaken up. Is there anything you think you could do in the sense of working your magic inside the building and finding out what was said?
I could go poke my nose in, ask some questions.
I was thinking about calling the professor to see if perhaps he could set up a guard, maybe on the roof of the hospital or something. If this is, if it's coming back for them, those police officers won't be able to protect them.
Do you have reason to think they've been targeted?
No, it's just the fact that it was still lingering bothers me. I mean, they may be completely safe, but I guess until we have more information, I thought maybe better safe than sorry.
All right.
Okay. I'm gonna head over to the building.
Excellent. You are a familiar face there at the precinct house. As you walk in, you're greeted with a mixed bag. Some give you a friendly, hey, how are you? A few of them give you a, you shouldn't be here. Some of the older ones tell the newer ones, especially, whenever they're like, hey, you shouldn't be back here. You watch as some of the more seasoned police officers just kind of go get a cup of coffee. You'll meet Jack soon enough. Is there one in particular that you're looking for?
Do I have a contact at this place? Is this perhaps where Jimmy works?
This would be the precinct that Jimmy works in.
I'm heading towards wherever he pours his coffee.
Sure thing. Other than the ballroom, the other area that they have is, of course, their changing place. Most of the cops are just kind of milling around. He's got a little bit of a rank, so he doesn't have a desk as a detective, but he's easy enough to find if you ask around. As a matter of fact, as you're poking around trying to find out where he's at, you hear his familiar voice from behind you. Where have you been?
Oh, trying not to get up to trouble. Wasn't that what you told me?
I'd never take you to take one's advice. Seem like you just kind of go your own way most of the time.
Well, if it's good advice, sometimes you do it out of coincidence.
By the way, thank you for the Ames thing.
Yeah. You said that was good for a favor, right?
Well, sure.
I need to look into something. A little off the books.
I was thinking more of a corned beef over at the deli, but getting into the books is a little bit different.
Look, I just need to know what happened to the kid earlier tonight.
Well, that's not my beat, but I'll see what I can find for you. You want a cup of coffee? Give me a moment.
If it's as bad as mine, I'll wait 3 moments. Go ahead.
Well, it'll put hair on your chest anyways.
Yeah.
He gets you a cup of coffee, black, because that's what he does. He's gone for several minutes. Looking, apparently you can see him talking to different people. In this time, Dr. White, what are you doing?
Yes, I'm going to see if I can get in contact with the professor.
Okay. I assume that the professor is at 8:30 p.m. at night, is at home.
Yes.
Easy
Yes.
enough to reach. Sure thing. Is there any particular information you want to relay, or do you just want to give him the rundown of the scenario and what's going on?
Yeah, really just let him know what's going on and see if he might be able to head that direction and maybe set up some protection, at least for the moment.
I'll be down there. Do you want me to go to St. Augustine's, or do you want me to meet you at the precinct?
If you could go to St. Augustine's, I imagine we'll be headed there soon. If not, we'll swing by and grab you.
All right. See you there.
Thank you, Professor.
No problem.
While you're making your way to the hospital, Jack, he comes back up. He has his notepad out, and you can see he has some basic information for you.
Yeah, my notepad out.
Boy's name was Jerry Lomere. Lowmere. Lomere. Father said he was out a little bit later than he meant to be. Said that there was a strange call to their home. Said where to find him. His dad washed over there. Mother contacted the officers, and That's why everybody turned up.
You telling me somebody called the parents before they called the cops?
Right? Strange indeed, isn't it?
Jerry have his phone number in his underwear?
It's a strange question. I don't think there was a return to tag.
How did they have the parents' number?
That's a question that we're looking into right now.
And you don't know who made the call?
We don't, but I'm sure somebody does.
What can you
Do
tell
me
me
a
about
favor?
Oh, yeah?
I know you're going to stick your nose in this one. Just try to turn it away when you see us coming, all right?
Hey, I don't want to get caught up in this when you have to bring down a hammer.
Good.
I just want to make sure that the right people are getting pointed at.
Certainly.
Anything else you can tell me about the crime scene? Anything unusual?
Wouldn't a mark on him from the report. Not a bullet, not a knife, nothing. And the EMT said that this is in the report, but I want you to understand that this is 2 distraught EMTs. Said while they were getting the boy on the stretcher, that crow fella, that Raven dude, that guy, you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Been all over the paper? Stepped out of the shadow as though he were just standing there idly waiting for him. Said his eyes were glowing and he looked at the boy and told him to hurry up.
So he was protecting the kid.
Seems that way. I'll tell you right now, though, this precinct is of 2 minds. Some of them appreciate what he's doing, and there are others that think he's just as bad as them with guns and knives.
Tell me, did the EMT's description of that crow man's voice, that match at all with the description of the caller?
You know, they didn't say. And that's a good question, though. I'll have to write that one down. And he does. He takes his pencil out and writes down there to ask that question. Puts a period in there.
I'm thinking it's 2 different people. And I'm thinking it may be the cops that need to stay out of the way if they start clashing.
You saying the 2 people, the crow and whatever this fella on the phone was?
Yeah. But hey, that's just 2 cents from a 2-bit detective. Take it with a grain of salt.
And a twist of lime, but you seem like you might know more what's going on.
Well, if I got you fooled, maybe I can fool someone else. Might even get paid.
And with this, he puts an arm on your shoulder, like, you know, resting it there as a friend does. I like you, Jack. A lot of the people here like you as well. You're a good man. If you're caught up in this, if you need help, you let me know, all right?
I'll do my best to keep my head down. But thank you, Jimmy.
Oh,
This helps a lot.
you're welcome, Jack. And one more thing. The next corned beef's on you. And he pats you on the arm and strides away.
That's fair.
Professor Owens, the hospital is not a large affair. It's a smaller unit, but it does have a small waiting room for the emergency room. You have arrived and you can see that there is a small hubbub of things going on, but you don't really see anything else. Now, Dr. White, were you waiting for Jack or did you head over to the hospital?
I'd wait for Jack.
Okay. Jack, you have your information. You come out and relay anything other than what you have.
I'm relaying the kid's name, Jerry Lomere, that somebody dropped the dime to his parents instead of calling the cops.
That's interesting.
Okay. And with that, I'm assuming that you guys are heading over to the hospital itself.
Yes.
Okay. Arriving at the hospital, the scene is a little bit calm. You can see that Professor Owens is standing in the wing waiting for you guys to arrive. You have a little bit of legwork to do at this point in time, gentlemen. So, where do you want to start? We'll start with Dr. White. What do you want to do first?
Well, there's a couple different avenues for us to check here. We could check in on the boy, see what his status is. We could check with the father. And if we can track down the mother. I assume that all three of them must be in here somewhere. Did you get a sense that anyone else had seen or heard anything, Jack?
No, it doesn't seem like it. Seems like the kid was found with no one else around. Whoever made the phone call is the only witness. And they had to have known the kid to know what phone number to call.
Do we see anyone, particularly, I guess I'm just thinking about the wife, do we see anyone in the waiting room who looks, obviously people in the waiting room look distressed, but anyone who, the cops are going over and talking to and moving around?
You do not. The waiting room it has a few people here in this area, but most of them are on their own, or you see a couple people talking to each other, filling out forms as you would, and things like that. But you don't see anybody that has either police escort or that the police are talking to or anything else like that.
All right. Well, we could try to make our way upstairs, see if he's got his name on a chart somewhere. That'd be a place to start to find out where they're located.
Yeah. Why don't you do that? Something's fishy about this, and I think I want to check out another angle. What if the kid's a distraction? I want to go see if I can find out where the parents live.
Yeah. Yes. All right.
All right.
I'll join you, Doctor.
Okay.
And I would like to mention, I do have Abiel with me.
Okay.
My seeing eye bee. I also have a dragonfly hovering above the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of monitoring the situation.
Is he in full big form or small dragonfly form?
Full big form. I can't control the small ones.
There is a droning sound in the air as you leave the hospital, Jack. I should say a familiar droning sound.
Oh, I'm never getting used to that.
All right. Well, let's go ahead then and take a look at the different avenues that we're going to have. Let's start this time with Jack. Jack, where are you going?
The first thing I'm going to do is see if I can find a White Pages and figure out where the Lomiers live. Maybe in a phone booth?
Yeah, sure. There is a copy that is within a newfangled plastic case to keep it unweathered. Of course, this is one of the good old-fashioned actual phone booths and not one of the little shells. So you kind of climb into it.
Yeah, seeing if I can figure out which one is Jerry's house. I'm assuming, since this is the hospital he was taken to, that it's probably one in this neighborhood.
That is a safe assumption. Let's go ahead and give me an investigate as you investigate this phone book. While you're getting your tags together and doing that roll, let's go ahead and go back to Dr. White. How would you like to try to go about this?
I think I'm going to try the simplest way. I'm just going to go up to the nurse's station and... hello there, I'm Dr. White. I own a small clinic uptown. I was in the area when that boy was brought in. Jerry, is he all right? Is there any update on him? I just wanted to check in to see if there was anything to be done to help.
She looks up at you. She's probably in her mid-40s, Rubenesque, if you will. She has her hair done up tight, and it's brown but going gray in areas. She has those beautiful horn-rimmed glasses with the chain around them. She takes the paper that she's looking at and puts it down, and then looks at the paper and looks up at you, and looks at the paper again, and she goes, "No. Of all the hospitals for you to walk into in the middle of the night." She turns the paper around, and there is a picture of you.
I think before she even turns it around, like I'm already starting to kind of put my hand onto my temple.
This Dr. White, and there is clearly a picture of you two. This time, though, it's near your clinic.
Yes, that's me. And I think my internal monologue is, I didn't see that one yet.
Oh boy. She said she folds it up and she puts it in. She goes, "Is she as nice as she seems on screen?"
You know, well, I suppose it depends which movie you're thinking of, but yeah, she's charming.
Who are you looking for?
I'm looking for Jerry. He was the boy that was brought in, couldn't have been a half hour ago.
Well, I'm not supposed to share information about patients with people who aren't family and friends. But you seem like a nice enough guy.
Yes, that's I totally understand that that's not how things are done normally, but you work with doctors, you know how it is. You see someone get taken in and you have to know how they come out. I could, and in my head I'm going, oh man, she's going to kill me for this. I could ask a favor of Yvonne if you're a fan. She actually was kind enough to come to my clinic and sign some 8x10s.
Go ahead and give me convince on this one. I will actually give you a situational modifier, or I will actually give you a modifier on this one. I think this should be a tag that you guys have, is friends in high places.
Yeah, okay.
Since you have evoked the name of Yvonne Calloway.
Oh. That is
about the time that you were asking that question of her, you see the detective that was working the alleyway. He kind of sits up and leans on there and goes, "Jerry Lomere." She looks at you. "Just a minute." And she gives you that look of kind of like that apologetic, sorry, I can't really give it to you with this guy standing here. And also kind of giving you, he looks over at you. "You done?"
Yes, but please, by all means.
Good. She gives him the room number. However, she writes it down and hands it to him. I'm going to come right back to you in just a moment, Dr. White. So, Jack, how did you do?
I have an 11.
Oh, yeah, you find him. It's the only Lomirs in the entire area. It's kind of an unusual name anyway.
Basically, I want to spend some time going and investigating where they come from and make sure somebody else isn't breaking into their place while they're at the hospital.
Okay.
And then go right back.
Okay. You look at the address. You can see it's not very far from here. So you make a quick jog over. The lights are out on the place. It's an apartment building, and it has the same function that most do. You have that entry foyer that has the buttons that allow you to get entry into the building. You can see it's H. Lomere, and you push the button. There's no response from anyone. You can see the apartment number that it's attached to, and you can see you kind of like where your lights are. There are no lights on. You give it a second or two. You don't see any flashlights or anything else moving. So it looks like there is legitimately no one home.
Heading back.
All right. Heading back to the hospital. Now, Dr. White, you can see where the detective is moving to.
I think that I'm going to turn, because I know that the professor was coming with me, and I'm going to try to give him the high sign of, eyes on him. And I will continue to talk to the nurse to try to distract her so the professor can pass by and follow the detective.
You're just making idle chit chat with her.
Yeah.
She's giving you those uncomfortable questions that no one really wants to.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that, Professor Owens.
So I'm going to follow the detective, sort of sneakily, hopefully, along with Abiel following behind.
I'm really looking forward to this.
In that case, then give me a sneak around.
Okay. Oh, do I have any tags whatsoever that could, I don't. Okay. And then does the status I have, apply here?
Which status?
The, migraine.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that's a -2.
It's really hard to try to be quiet and sneak around when your head is pounding like heavy footfalls.
Okay. Here goes nothing. That's a 4.
He's waiting at the elevator, and as just innocuous as you can look, you stand behind him, but it's like you're queuing up to be the next in line, so it's like kind of close. He turns around, he goes, "You might give me some breathing room here. The suit's made for one."
Yeah, I try to do an American accent.
Colton pretending to do a British accent, pretending to do an American accent.
Exactly. So, sorry. It's been a long day.
You sure you should be out of your room?
I'm actually visiting.
Okay. The elevator dings, giving you a small break in the conversation, thankfully. The doors slide open and he gets on. He looks at you and says, "You and the missus getting on?"
Yes. And she's my assistant.
I don't care. He pushes a button and then asks you, he pushes the number 2 and then asks you, "Floor?"
2.
Convenient. The doors close and you go up to the second floor. He gets off and proceeds down the hallway, and you can see off of the main hallway, there's a nurse's station up there, but you can see 2 police officers standing outside of a door down the hallway, giving you the idea of exactly where they're located at.
Okay.
Alongside with the police officers, you can see a man and a woman who are standing outside the room. He has his arm around her, and she is, even from this distance, you can see she's sobbing. She is quite beside herself.
Okay, so this is an out-of-character question. I am asking to Dr. Alexander White, or to Rev and to Carl. How stupid do we want to play this?
I think you should play your character.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know.
Oh, this is gonna go swimmingly, I can just tell.
Okay. So what we're gonna do, or what Robert is going to do, rather. I am going to, I should first ask, did the detective go into the room?
He's talking to the parents.
Talking to the parent. Okay, then I am not going to do anything, but I am going to take a swig of, like, some coffee or something.
You have to find some coffee first.
Yeah. I'm going to ask the nurses if there's any refreshments nearby.
The nurse looks at you and goes, "On the first floor, there's a coffee machine there. It's a nickel. You put it in, and it even gives you one of those nice cups you can keep."
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mm.
Wait. Yeah, okay. That's a lot of work, so Robert, being tired and having a migraine, is just going to go stand by the wall until the detective leaves or something.
Okay. He takes a few minutes to talk to the parents, or what you assume is the parents, and then you see him. He doesn't have a hat, but he does have his notepad, and he just kind of puts it over his heart, and he kind of looks at him, and he looks like he wants to reach out and like give her a reassuring pat on the shoulder, but he kind of hesitates, and then he just kind of nods his head, and then he starts heading back in your direction.
I just sort of nod as he passes.
Wrong floor.
They're using the restroom.
Sure. Whatever. He hits a button and goes back down. Dr. White, you can see him exiting out of the elevator and heading towards your direction again once more.
I just imagine the professor standing in the hallway. He's like, "Oh, I've got to look natural. Drink coffee." And like he looks around, and there's nothing there, and he looks down, and there's like a coffee next to a trash can. He just picks it up and starts drinking it, and he spits it out.
What do regular humans do?
It's out a cigarette butt.
Yeah.
That is a question Robert finds himself asking a lot.
What do regular humans do?
Yeah, what do regular humans do?
As long as at no point in time do you start going, I think we're okay. Oh my goodness.
Okay. So,
Aliens? Us? Is this one of your Earth jokes?
I am going to go up to the parents and introduce myself as Jonathan Sutherland, attorney at law.
They give you the strangest look, like, okay, why are you introducing yourself to us? To which you hear the dad, why does that matter?
I heard, unfortunately, I'm still doing an American accent. I heard, unfortunately, that your son here was in a bit of a pickle, and I was sent here to help you represent you in any problems that you might encounter in the court system. This here's my assistant, Abigail.
All right. Look,
So, can I, is there any information that you have, by chance? Just to help me start a thing?
No, it's not. We don't... Could you leave us be? Our son is... I don't really want to talk to a lawyer. And she turns and looks at you, and you can see mascara running. You can see her eyes are red and puffy, and she just looks like she's... And her face goes from one of being hurt to one of being angry. And she looks like she just does not want to talk to you.
Okay. Are the rooms is it glass walls into the rooms?
No.
No? Okay. Darn.
Nope.
So I couldn't see into the room at all.
That is correct. You cannot see into the room. It's a solid wall, wooden heavy door that closes it off. It's currently closed. So no, you can't see into the room unless you actually go into there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Abigail, my card, and she doesn't have one, obviously, because this is just a character I made up 4
She
seconds
just
ago.
looks at you and goes. She just shakes her head. No.
Oh, she's always forgetting things. Well, here's my number, and then I sort of write it on a piece of paper. I'll.
At this point, that the mother turns and puts a finger into your chest. You bloodsucker! You think we're gonna just turn? My boy's laying in there. You're here trying to make $1, turn a profit off of us. Get out of here!
Oh, you must misunderstand me. I am doing this for free. I heard of your son's plight, and I would like to.
Smack it across the face. I said, go.
Okay, here's my card. Here's my number, and I just sort of drop a piece of paper.
Her hand comes up again.
And I slink back to the elevator with my face and my pride both hurting.
To which Abigail goes, "That didn't go well, did it?"
No. Certainly did not. And then I'm going to tell Dr. Alexander White where they are, and hopefully he can do something better than I can.
But you tried your best, and honestly, that's what matters.
I'm going to tell him, and then I'm going to sit down in the lobby and just go to sleep.
Just passing out.
Passing out.
All right, Dr. White. He has a red mark across his face, by the way.
Professor, are you all right?
Just my pride. Really, that's all. They're in room 2. What room were they?
They're on. It's 28, second floor, 8th room.
Room 28. They're slap happy, so watch out for that.
All right. You know what? I think I've rolled the dice, I suppose. And I'm going to walk down towards the elevator and get in. And when it opens up, I want to go into the nurse's station and just like I should be there and go to a locker and see if I can find the appropriate jacket and, put it on and just walk out and see if anyone notices.
You're wearing... What attire are you wearing right?
It would just be the shirt and tie and slacks that I would have underneath my coat normally.
Okay. They don't say anything to you. You wander back in and into the nursing station. You can see that someone does have a white coat hanging there. Unfortunately, no stethoscopes or anything else to go with that.
Yeah.
But you walk back out to the nursing station, and one of them goes, "Hey, do we have new residents on tonight?"
No, I was called in specially.
Well, no one... I swear the level of communication around here is just awful. No one told me that they were going to have a new doctor on the floor tonight. Fine.
Yes, the hospitals always seem to be that way, don't they?
It's enough to make me want to go work in a clinic or something small. Do you know where you're supposed to be?
I do.
Has anyone given you instructions?
Yes.
Okay. Fine. You'll need, and she starts to look around for something, and she's like, "You know what? If anyone asks, just tell them to come see me, Rebecca, and good luck." Oh my God, I'm so angry. I'm gonna write this right now. As you see, she sits down with a clipboard and starts writing a very angrily written note. She's a very small script type.
Yeah. And so I'm going to go out and head down the hallway towards the Lomirs.
Okay. Again, you can see mother and father standing there, and you can see the two officers standing outside. They are, they're actually just having like a conversation with one another. As you approach, one of them turns and looks at you for a second, and then recognizes the uniform that you have on, and just kind of tilts his head to the side. Doctor's already been in. Are you?
I'm from uptown. They said because the situation was a little unusual. Surgery used to be my specialty, but now that it is dealing with family practice, they asked me to come down and take a look.
Your name?
Dr. White?
He turns and looks at him and says, "Sir, ma'am?" They look at you for a moment, and you can see that she's been crying. He looks like his face is just set in stone, and it's angry or tense. It's definitely the man that you saw being escorted into the vehicle. And she is clinging to him like a rock in a storm. She's just holding on to him. He goes, "If you can make my boy better, that's fine."
Mr. Mrs. Lomir, I apologize for the abruptness of my arrival. Would you mind stepping inside with me so we could just talk about a couple of things? I'd like to hear from your point of view what you have experienced so far to make sure that the transition between me and the last doctor is nice and smooth.
He looks down at her. Maggie. She takes a deep breath, shuddering, and then sets her face, her jaw, and nods her head up and down. And then you all step into the room. Lying in the bed, he does have IVs in his arm. See that there are fluids that are being administered. He looks pale, as you would expect someone in the condition that you saw him. Given his look, you can guess he's around 16 or 17. You see his clothes are nicely folded on a chair, and while they're not new, you can see that he keeps them nicely, or she keeps them nicely. And as you guys enter the room, there's a single lamp burning, so the light in here is very low. And he's breathing of his own, but he is not responding to anything. The chart hangs at the end of the bed on the foot of the bed.
Okay. So yeah, as we step inside, I'm going to turn and close the door, and pick up the chart and glance over it. Obviously, we don't necessarily want to make up this medical jargon unless you happen to know it, but to see what they've given him, what they think is going on compared to what I saw in the alley.
The notes are sparing at best. It's more along the lines of what his condition is. So you see a lot of things, and all of his vitals are stable, but he doesn't seem to be reacting to anything that they're giving him. And they're like, it's more like almost like a checklist you can see. So it's like, it's not viral, it's not anything else like that. It seems like there's no reaction to any sort of, and they just really don't have a lot of information on the sheet.
So as I'm looking at the sheet, I'm going to look over to the parents. Could you tell me a little bit about your son, his activities, his daily life? Sometimes when people are non-responsive, it's the little things that might make a connection for them that could bring them back, make them aware, the things that they hear. So I'm just interested to know what his day was like, from day to day. And also I heard that there was an unusual circumstance with that you received a phone call and you found him before the paramedics did.
He doesn't normally stay out late. He's home before dark. He said that he and Malcolm and Robert were going to get together and have dinner at the diner. Something that they do, the boys all do together. Malcolm is hands down one of his best friends, and Robert is a friend of both of theirs. I mean, I don't know what you want me to know. Jerry's a good boy. He does well in school. Wanted to be a lawyer when he graduates. And the mom kind of like chokes a little bit at that. He says, I said when. He'll be fine. I promise you, Maggie. And then she just kind of shakes her head again and kind of leaning into him. I mean, I don't know what you want to know specifically. He's involved in a few extracurriculars, but I mean, most of the time he goes home and helps around the house. He works on occasion, mostly on the weekends though, and every once in a while of an evening.
And where does he work?
There's a shop on the corner around from our apartment building, just doing small things around there, carrying in, groceries and delivering them to people who might have ordered, things like that.
May I ask, which one of you received the phone call?
Well, I answered it. We were both home, and we started wondering where he was. Like I said, the boys were out. I know they were together, but I don't know. I answered the phone. We were cleaning up dinner, and I didn't recognize the voice. I didn't know who it was, but he said Robert's hurt. Excuse me, not Robert. He said Jerry's hurt, and he's you can find him here. And he said call an ambulance and call the police, and I told Maggie to do that and run out. I ran out of the room to go find him. When I saw him, he was just laying there. Sorry.
No, please, it is completely understandable. And when you found him, from there to now, have you seen any change in his breathing, his color, or would you say that this is how his status has been?
This is pretty much how it's been. Maybe being in the warmth and the blankets as opposed to laying there in the alleyway. He seems a little warmer and a little more color to him, but I don't know.
Well, thank you for your time. And I'm going to look at Maggie. Please understand that we are doing everything in our power to help your son. If you can think of anything that you may not have told me now, please make sure to let one of the nurses know. In addition to making sure that your son finds his way back to health, we want to make sure that whatever happened to him doesn't happen to another child.
She says the only thing I can think to tell you is if you can talk to Malcolm Jackson and Robert Donovan. Those are his friends.
Thank you. And please, both of you, I know that this is the hardest swallowed pill I give as a doctor. But make sure to rest yourself and get something to eat, because if he needs taken care of, you won't be any good if you're both completely burned out.
Thank you, Doctor.
Of course.
He guides her over to a chair in the room and sits her down. But then he steps out with you.
Okay.
He steps away. He starts to escort you down the hallway, away, and you can see that the level of police officers have been reduced from 2 to 1. There's only 1 cop there now. Listen. Hang on just 1 second here.
That's properly dramatic.
Jerry was a good boy. Is a good boy. He can be argumentative, but he's very kind with his friends. He had some concerns over Robert and what he was doing. He only told me that he thinks Robert might be falling in with the wrong crowd. I asked him if he needed me to step in, and he said not yet. And I trust my son. He's smart. I went to Robert's dad. Look, Robert doesn't have the best life at home. So if he finds comfort and solace somewhere, he's the kind of boy that would take to it. He and my boy and Malcolm, they took Robert under their wing and tried to guide him as best they can. I don't know what went on this evening, but I'm concerned if Jerry's in this state. I don't know what state Malcolm is in, or Robert either. Maybe tell that to the police. I told it to the cops there, but they seem more concerned with just doing the job that they had right there in head of. Can you pass that on?
Yes, I'll make sure that the proper people hear about it.
I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care of yourself. We'll find out what's wrong.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that a lot. I'm going to go back now. Thank you, Dr. White.
You're welcome. And I'm going to duck back into the nurse's office and yeah, exactly, drop off the coat before I leave so I don't leave some poor doctor here in a couple hours.
It's like Superman, but instead of phone booths, it's all nurses.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. You have a bit more of information now, and what are you doing together? Let's start with Dr. White. I'm sure that you relay what you've learned.
Yeah, I think that, tell them about the 2 friends, and that they have a ritual of going to the diner, and that Robert may have fallen in with someone that he didn't have a good home life, and really kind of ask Jack what he thinks about trying to track down one of the other teens, or trying to go to the diner to see if there might be something to be gained there, or even going back and checking the alley, actually, if it's no longer cordoned off.
Okay.
The way the father put it, he went to the Donovans. Did he give you an indication that Robert was missing or in trouble?
No, just the indication that he didn't have a great home life, and that he would take approval, guidance, praise, whatever you want to call it, wherever he could find it.
Mr. Lomere is afraid without Jerry's influence, it's going to be in a worse place.
Yes, or that maybe he had fallen in with the wrong person, and that was what was maybe influencing the group.
Oh, got it. That makes more sense than altruism for a father whose kid is laying on a deathbed. He's looking out for the kid as well, the whole group. That's worth checking out.
I always could do my old college recruiter routine if we wanted to talk to the kids. I work at the college and they're about high school age, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That might be.
And since I have Abiel here, probably should swing by what's the word? The street between two other...
The alley?
Alley.
The crime scene?
Yes! We might want to swing by the alley, see if there's
Oh,
any...
yeah. You should definitely be our talker. Thanks for volunteering.
Oh, yes.
Hey, Doc, did you catch a name for that diner?
No, they just said it was around the corner from their house, next to one of the shops that their son worked at.
Catch a name for the shop?
No, I didn't. Just if we can find their house, I think we could find them both.
Well, I just came back from their house.
Oh, well, that's fortunate.
Yeah, shouldn't be that tough.
Did you pass any diners or shops on the way?
Master of Ceremonies, did I pass any diners on the way?
You did.
Oh, in fact, I did. We can stop there.
Yeah.
I had a hunch that for somebody to call the parents first, they needed the parents distracted. I don't think that's going to pay off, at least not at their house. Nobody there.
Question. What day is it today? Like, what day of the week?
Oh, thank you. It is a Thursday evening.
Of course it is. Okay.
I guess it's a Wednesday night.
Well, no, I mean, I have, I'll have classes in the morning. So I wasn't sure if... Trying to plan.
You got a good idea, Professor. Maybe we should use your credentials this time. So you guys want to head to the diner? See if we can stir up any sign of the kids?
Sure.
Yeah, and just on the way, too, I'll mention that the dad did say him in passing when he answered the phone. That said that he didn't recognize the voice.
So he gave it a male pronoun.
All right. To the diner then.
Can we stop at the alleyway on the way from...
They're not necessarily in the same direction. I mean, you can go to the alleyway first and then go to the diner.
Okay.
If that's what you'd like to do.
Do we want to do that then? Just...
At least swing by it to see if it's empty.
I think crime scenes are usually best the sooner after the crime.
Then we head to the alley.
Excellent. Arriving at the alley, you can see that there are not the presents that you saw earlier. It is still cordoned off, and this time it is actually taped from this end, and the far end has tape on it. So that they've got that section of it blocked off. There are police that are stationed at the end of the alley on either side. But you think it's more of a, hey, if I want to go back and visit this place, I can still do that. So.
Okay. Do I get out of my car? head a few blocks and then ask Abiel if she sees anything. And then I'm going to try and distract the guards while Abiel looks at the alleyway.
Okay. Are you dressed as you are now? Nice suit and tie.
Wearing a suit and tie, but like I am very disheveled. Like Robert is very disheveled tonight. Cause like
his disheveled still looks like really dressed up for Jack.
Yeah, no, I'm wearing the same clothes, but like my tie is like super loose. Maybe there's a button unbuttoned, and then I'm sort of stumbling around because I have like a really bad migraine.
Sir Owens, how uncouth. All right. Sure. How would you like to distract the, as you put it, guard? How would you like to distract the police officer so that you could have Abby look down the alleyway?
I'm just
what shenanigans are you gonna pull?
I'm just gonna go up and like. Do I do my British voice or do I do my fake American voice? I think Robert's on a roll with the fake American voice, so
Sure. It's worked for him so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. So what happened here?
Oh, it got worse. The officer says, "Move along. Nothing to see here. Crime scene."
Well, I obviously could tell that with the "Do Not Cross" tape thereupon. But is there any details you could give me at this current location? I am one of those high-priced attorneys, and I just need to see if anyone sort of needs any assistance.
Oh, a high-priced attorney then, huh?
Yes.
Oh, well, yeah, as a matter of fact, lean in close. You ready? This detail, I was one of the ones that was first on scene. I'm going to tell you what the details are. The details are, it's an active crime scene, and you're not part of it. Go ahead and go along now.
Okay, has Abiel, like, looked at the crime scene, sort of...
Taking a look through there.
Okay, I would probably have her, like, give me a signal when she's, like, has sort of, like, gotten all the information that she can. Has she given me that, or do I need to bullshit more?
No. Hang on one second. Changing hats. This has to have the appropriate hat for it. Otherwise it just doesn't work.
Oh my gosh, I thought you were going for like bug antennas.
Note to self.
Bug antennas.
Bug antenna now. Thank you for that. As Abby walks over, she takes your arm. He tips his hat back at her. Ma'am? Hello. Can we help you? This is an active crime scene, and you really shouldn't be here. But you look really nice this evening. He sees this beautiful woman.
I just can't help but laugh. Cause like, I know that, she's a giant bee, so I'm finding that funny.
His face falls for a second. Oh. Is he with you? And she just kind of nods her head up and down. Move along, crime scene.
Well, it was a pleasure talking to you. I'll see what I can't do on my own, no thanks to you. And then I head back into my car.
Okay. What particularly was Abby looking for?
To see, like, if there was a
what she
lot
did
of
in the restaurant or
Yeah.
in the
just
club.
the like residue magic-y stuff.
Again, that's an extension of your ability through her. And last time we did that, you had to burn that tag to give that extension to her.
Okay.
Are you gonna do the same thing this time?
Would it be possible to roll for that? Or would I have to burn a tag?
I will let you roll for it. It'll be an investigate. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just roll. You've got a -2 status right now for your migraine, so it's fine.
Okay. So I think I have specialist species, I'm gonna try that sentence again. Use social servants and entomological variations.
Okay. The entomological variations wouldn't really come into effect because you're not trying to make her into a Myrmidon. You're trying to use your power or use her ability.
Okay.
So.
Any
else do we
negatives?
Just the 2 status that you have on you already.
Okay. I don't think I would have any. Could I use good at talking? To say that I distracted the guard well? To allow Abiel to get a better sort of look at the crime scene?
He was definitely distracted, so yes, I will allow that to happen.
Awesome. Okay. That's
Not necessarily by you, but he was distracted enough.
Okay, that is a 10. Oh. 8. That's an 8. I forgot to add the
okay.
migraine. Okay. So still says.
She says that there's a little residue, but not really. Doesn't look like anybody used an ability, or there was nothing that happened in here that seems like it was there. There's a little bit, a tiny trace amount about where he was found.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right. I get back in my car and I relay that information to Jack and Dr. White.
All right. The diner that you guys are going to, I assume that's the next stop on this trip. Okay. The diner is called the Breakaway, and it is it's a 24-hour little coffee shop. So it's got the bar, the service counter, and then several stools there. There are also a few tables in there. You can see the people moving in and out. Most of them appear to be working all hours and shifts and things like that, and they're either going to or coming from work, or this is their lunch break from some of the places around. The place itself is kind of a like a retro build for one of the old service engine cars. It has, so the front of it is that nice, there's traces of chrome on it, and you can see that that it's brightly lit, and there's chrome with red stools and things like that. You enter in, and a waitress looks up and says, "Just take a seat anywhere. Be right with you."
So loud.
Looking around for a couple of teenage boys.
No, there's not a whole lot of people in here. Some people at the service counters, and there's a couple of tables that have people in there. Some beatniks sitting at the table. Black berets on, thin mustache, black turtlenecks,
Staying away from them. Finding a place where you can whisper and not be overheard.
Okay. There is a corner booth that currently has no one around it.
Yeah, heading there.
All right. She bebops over to you, wearing her compression stockings and her nice flats. She has a carafe or the coffee pot in her hand, and she has her finger looped through 3 of the standard diner white heavy ceramic mugs that we've all seen. She sets them down on the table. Coffee.
Much obliged.
And she fills.
Do you have any tea?
Iced.
Coffee would be lovely.
She pours you a cup of coffee. I'll be right back. And she disappears, comes back, and sets down those wonderful, like, laminate menus. It's 2 sides. And she sets down. I'll be back, take your order in a minute. And she bops over to the beatnik table, and she's, like, refilling their coffees. And she eventually comes back in and asks for your order if there's anything in particular that you'd like to order.
Actually, while she's gone in that window, I want to... Professor, are you all right? You seem... Are you all right? You seem a little off.
Oh, it's, I've been using my myrmidons a lot, and it's been a day, so I have a little headache.
I just reach in my pocket and pull out a tin of aspirin and slide it over to him. I actually have a tag, medical supplies.
I know that's why I was kind of laughing, because it's like the bag is with you. You just kind of open it up and just start taking stuff out. Okay.
Yeah, I take one with my coffee. Does it help at all?
No.
Okay.
Or at least not immediately.
Yeah, well, yeah.
If that doesn't help, let me know. I could always try something a little more specialty clinic.
Morphine. The diner, like I said, it's right now after meeting with all the cops and looking at everything, you're probably looking at it being closer to 11 o'clock in the evening. But again, the diner is not full of people. There are a few people at the service counter that are kind of coming and going, things like that. All right. What do you want to do? Let's start with Jack.
You think it's getting too late to expect to see teenage kids here? I think the best we can hope for now is that someone like maybe the staff knows who they are and can tell us more.
Yes, the dad said that he was always home by the time that they found him in the alley. I can't speak so much for the other 2 boys, but you know, they had a routine of coming here weekly, so I imagine it was earlier than this.
Yeah. I was hoping we could count on this being sort of a safe place, so if either of them knew there was trouble afoot, maybe they would have met up here. I guess there's still time and we might as well eat.
Yes, I can't shake the feeling that, you know, they got the phone call, and like you said, they would have to know who the boy was to call the parents.
I'm thinking it's one of these kids.
Yes, something with them went wrong. They were doing something and he was hurt, and they dumped him in that alley. I mean, Professor, you said that your assistant said that there was just the slightest sign of something, and it was just where he was laying. So I think that he was planted there where they knew the parents could find him once they were called.
Yes. Just also thinking it could possibly be another Ames situation where he activated his powers unknowingly, and this is some sort of side effect, like, I don't know, maybe some sort of astral projection, and maybe his mind looking at Mars.
Yeah.
So we can't rule that out.
That's a very good point, Professor. I mean, imagine the three of us sitting here, 10, 20, some of us 30 years younger, and getting powers all together as friends at the same time, what would you be out there doing, and what would happen if something went wrong?
That's a terrifying thought.
Yes, maybe someone here can tell us something about what they were doing, if they overheard them talking about anything over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. I am going to ask the waitress when she comes back.
When she arrives with your platters of food.
Yeah.
Dr.
No, I
White,
just have to...
just toast. Actually, you've been using your powers. It's more like you've ordered the sampler platter that's like, this feeds 6 people. I know what I'm about.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to find a way to word this that, you know, I can say and not look weird.
I am bracing myself to jump into this conversation.
I'm asking for help.
There are a lot of young men that come in here.
Yeah.
I'm looking for some boy.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to figure that out.
Like Jack said, I'm really glad you're the talker here.
Oh yeah. So like
Oh, knock it out of the park.
Oh, okay. I know what I'm gonna say.
Yep.
I can't wait.
So comes up, and what was the boy's name again? I can't remember.
Jerry.
My life. Jerry, last name?
Lomir.
Just gonna use his whole name.
Yeah. She could know a lot of Jerrys. I don't know. Did you see what happened to that Lomir boy? I heard something coming into the neighborhood about it. Sounds awful.
No, what happened to him?
Dr. White?
Yes, he was found in an alley, not terribly far from here, unconscious, and he's actually in the hospital now.
No. He was in here earlier with his friends.
Oh, really? What
Sure.
time?
They always meet here on Thursdays. They have a good conversation about what they're doing. They go and shoot pool beforehand, and then they come in and eat, and then they go home. Oh, it was probably about 7:30. So my shift had started at 6, and let me tell you, we had quite a rush in here. But I always remember those boys whenever they come in, and I'm working, of course. They always tip real well. They're really sweet boys. I sure hope the other two are okay. Were the other two around?
No, the other two, at least as of right now, are unaccounted for. You didn't happen to hear them talking about any plans or anything they had today, did you?
I'm so sorry. I did not. Like I said, when I started my shift, we were packed to the gills, and we were all running around crazy, so I didn't have time to talk to them like I normally do. I will say this, though. Robert, the little one, he looked thinner than normal, like something was wrong, like he didn't feel well. He barely ate anything. He wouldn't eat anything. Malcolm, I believe, is the one boy. He gave him his toast, and Robert barely ate it. He just picked at it. So I hope he's all right. Nothing of those two. They're just there.
Be honest, we haven't had an opportunity to check to see that they're all right. We're actually planning to do that soon. Make sure that the other parents are aware of what happened.
Well,
speaking of that, you got any idea how we might be able to contact their parents?
Well, um, I've only met Malcolm's father, Mr. Jackson. He owns the laundry service. It's about 4 blocks up and about 2 blocks over. I sometimes get my blouses done there. Oh, I'm sorry. His name is Andrew Jackson. Yes, I know how that sounds. No relation to the president, but still. But that's the only one that I know.
You figure he lives somewhere around there?
Probably. More than likely, most of these families that own businesses here, they own the upstairs. They have the place up above.
What about Robert? Anything about his family?
The only thing I can tell you about Mr. Robert Donovan is that whoever his parents are, he needs a new set.
Besides him looking thin, anything else unusual about them recently?
No, not that I can tell. But again, I see them, they only come in here about once a week, and I see them if I'm working that shift or, when I'm working there. But
Anybody unusual with them or any strange habits?
no, like I said, they were. Now that you mention it, normally they're all laughing and cutting up, way boys do. But they all seemed. Robert seemed sullen and quiet, and they weren't joking and laughing like they were. They seemed like they were concerned. Again, I apologize. I didn't get a chance to hear the conversation, but it looks like the other two boys were really concerned.
One more question.
Sure. And she says, "One moment." And she goes and gets a coffee pot and tops you off. What was your question?
Jerry works afternoons at a shop around here. Do you know which one?
Yeah. It's the grocer's around the corner. I don't shop there. Hang on, I'm trying to remember the name. Bradford's. That's it. Bradford's.
Thanks. That's hopefully going to be a lot of help to keep some kids out of trouble.
Well, I hope so. They're nice boys. Did anybody else have any questions for her?
No, I think that the only other thing that I'm interested in at the moment is Robert's parents, and she indicated that she doesn't have any idea who they are, just that it doesn't seem to be a good situation.
Mm-hmm. Well, as you take a respite in the midst of your investigation, trying to find out what's going on, we ourselves are going to take a little bit of a respite. Give us about 10 minutes and we will be back. And again, you are watching Obscurum, a City of Mist game. I am the MC Heath. I am joined tonight by Carl, Rev, and Colton. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. Stick around, tell your friends. As far as I know, this is the only black and white crime noir show that you're going to find out there. So come on back. See you guys in 10. Thanks. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for bearing with us as we recharged our batteries. When last we left off, a meal was being entertained. Before you guys retire for the evening or go about whatever it is you're going to do, is there anything else you'd like to do or ask at the cafe or the diner? Robert, Dr. White?
Yeah, I can't really think of anything unless the only other thing would be to check with like the bus boy as we're leaving to see if they've got if they heard anything else.
Yeah, feel free to ask. Long, lanky guy. No, I ain't heard nothing of them. Like I said, I know who they are. I've seen them down at the pool hall a time or two.
You ever see the smaller boy Robert? You ever see his parents?
Yeah, I know Robert Donovan's parents. Well, his dad, anyways.
Really, who's his dad?
Dad's name's Paul Donovan. He works down at the docks. He'll be home right about now. Can't say he'll be awake. He and my dad know each other.
Thank you. You seem to have an opinion about Paul.
Yeah, well, what I know about Paul is what my dad says, and my dad says, as far as human beings go, it looks like he was more extra change than a full bill. And he ain't worth much either.
You said that they live near here. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Well, everything in the row is kind of near here. They live down towards the toward the dock side of the row. Rent's a little cheaper over there.
I'll actually fish in my pocket and hand him a bill. I don't suppose you remember the color of the building or the door number?
No, but I can give you a bit of advice.
What's that?
Paul Donovan drinks his paychecks. There's only one place he goes. There's a place called Skip's. It's a corner grocery store, but Skip's known to cash a check or two. And so you may want to check with Skip. And knowing Skip, and he looks up at the clock above the door, you can see the time there. Yep, Skip's open.
Thank
Maybe
you.
You're thirsty.
I turned to the other two. Anyone feel like a nightcap?
I wonder if that pool hall's on the way to Skip's.
Yeah.
I'm up for whatever.
All right. Then whatever it is. Do you want to start with the pool hall first, or do you want to go straight to Skip's?
I vote for swinging by the pool hall just to see if maybe we'll look up and the kids are standing there.
Sure.
The pool hall is literally like 3 blocks along the same street. You can see it's got a neon sign, freshly installed, and you can see it has the rack, and it's got pool balls in there, and you see it breaks up and the pool balls go all over the place, and then it racks them again. The name of the place is Rack 'em Up, and you can step inside, and it's like a lodge / pool hall. It's got a what may have once been a beautiful like bar top there, but now it's been stained with both smoke and drink, and so now it has this dark, angry look about it. All of the pool tables are the good green felt. They're nice, big size, and you can see all manner of people wandering around. The whole place has a haze about it. Cloud of smoke that kind of drifts thinly through the air. As you step in, and it smells of cigarettes, booze, pool chalk, and this isn't a place where there are servers moving around. This is a place where if you want to drink, you go to the counter, you get a drink, you stay at the counter because you're not spilling drinks on the tables. That'll get you thrown out. As the three of you enter in, you can hear it's not the whole jukebox screeching to a halt. People are still playing, but you can see that the front tables that are kind of closer to the door, they kind of turn and look at you and then look at the bar, and you can see the man behind the bar who's wearing a a tank top. He's got knuckles and hands the size of like pot roast, just big meaty hands. He's a slab of a human being, and he's got no hair on the top of his head, and he's got stubble on his face, and you can see a thick white mustache over his mouth. Can I help you, men?
So loud.
Well, then get out. I don't have any open tables, but I can get you a drink if you want one.
Jack.
I'm immediately looking around for any kids that look younger than the rest of the crowd.
Give me an investigate. Now, what tags are you using?
I would like to use Private Dick, Logical Deduction. When I see it, I'll know, and Common Sense. But I'm also using a weakness tag for Sleepless Nights because we've been at this a while.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How does that roll go for you?
Oh, that is a miss. I have a 5.
Yikes.
The smoke, the haze, and you're just being tired. 'Cause, I mean, you've been going all week, just got in whenever all of this started. You don't happen to see anybody that sticks out here or doesn't look any different. As a matter of fact, you watch as the man behind the counter picks up a rather thick cigar that looks like it's been savored, plucks it in his mouth, and lights it, takes a few puffs off of it, and blows the acrid smoke out. Looks at you and goes, "Hey, ain't you that PI that works this area?"
I might be. I might just be borrowing his underwear.
Well, and he takes a long drag and, "Ain't nobody in here you looking for. Get out. Take your fancy friend and the other fancy friend with you.
Fancy friends have money. You don't like that?
I don't like people snooping around, and that's what it looks like you're doing. Snooping around."
Listen, nobody's here to bust up anybody's game.
There is a decidedly wooden sound on wooden sound as he pulls something out from underneath the counter and lays it down and then leans his arms on the counter. My hands are starting to hurt.
Robert is just going to slowly just back straight out of the building.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
I didn't give it.
I understand that you've got a place here that, despite whatever rough exterior, there's some part of you that cares about the kids that come here because you provide this space for them. One of them was almost found dead tonight, and we're just trying to find his friends to make sure they're safe.
Convince me of that.
Okay, and so I'm going to use, I think I'm going to explain to him medically what was found. So I will use Chief Physician and Tactical Mind to try to read him and point out the things that when I see him, if I see him breathe in, things like that, to kind of hit on those points more.
Okay.
Could my reputation aid check?
Yeah. If you want to use a help. I'll let you do that.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Was that including his reputation?
It's not, so it'd be a 7 with his reputation.
He takes he listens to everything you're saying, and then he takes this cigar out of his mouth. He rolls it back and forth in his mouth and then takes it out. I ain't no doctor, but I like those boys. This is a home away from home for Robert especially. If you telling me that Jerry's hurt, what can I answer for you? I'll give you a couple of quick questions before I ask you to leave politely.
Have you seen either of them tonight after, and I'm going to say after the time that the waitress told us that she saw them at the diner?
Yeah, I did. Robert came in a little bit later. I think it was probably around 8:30, maybe around then, 8 o'clock. I don't know, somewhere around there. He looked scared, like more scared than normal. It looked like somebody was chasing him. I thought maybe his dad had gotten after him again, but it didn't seem that was the case. He sat around for a minute. He ordered a Coke, gave him a drink, and tried to find out what was going on, but he clammed up.
Do you think anybody here saw him leave? Anyone have any idea where he might have gone?
I looked up. There was 2 dimes on the table or on the counter, and he was gone.
Did he use the phone?
You know, now that you mention it, I think he did. I can't be sure. I mean, you know. And this has one of the one of the old school like phone booths in here. So it's got like across the wall, it's got a wooden door you can open. It's got a bench and a phone in there, so you can sit down and close the door and get privacy. So it has one of those in there. The doors are currently open on it, so there's nobody using it. Sorry I couldn't help you more. I hope that he's okay.
Thank you.
I think you helped us a lot.
Well, I'll never say I didn't do nothing nice for you.
Yeah. Bat threats and all.
Hey, I didn't hit you, did I?
Night is early.
You're welcome. And he puts the bat back underneath the counter.
I'm going to poke my head inside the phone booth on our way out and see, just look around and see if there's anything in there, if anything was dropped, anything scribbled anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and investigate for me.
Yeah. For clue.
Looking for clues.
Okay, 8.
Okay. There's nothing. Yes, there is. In the booth, it fell on the in the floor. You see what appears to be like a scrap of paper, or like it was written on a napkin or something and torn and then given to someone. It's not like crumpled up completely. It looks like it's been folded and unfolded. All it is an address, and the address would be closer to where Jack's place is, but it just has the address. It's all it has on.
I'll hand it over to Jack. I saw this crumpled on the floor. I thought it might belong to that fancy Southern lawyer we saw at the hospital.
That's a good eye. I know this place.
You do indeed. It's a warehouse is really more what it's like. It's got a couple of offices in there.
How far is it from the alley where the kid was found?
But it's a pretty good distance. It's
All right.
several blocks, like tens of blocks.
So if the kid was moved, they would have had to have a vehicle if this was the place where it happened. I'm saying that. This is several blocks from where the kid was. I doubt this is where whatever happened tonight.
More importantly, what you know about the place is that it's a warehouse with a couple of offices in it. Just in passing, you know this by walking past it and seeing the roll-up doors up. A lot of men in moderately well-tailored suits that have no purpose being there are there, as well as a lot of younger men with leather jacket and ill intent.
Is this in the territory of any of the bosses we know of?
Not that you're aware of. Not without doing some deeper digging, you would.
I say we beat feet. Where you guys want to go?
You have a couple of different places. You can try to go to the warehouse office place, and there's always Skips.
Skips lets us talk to Donovan. Donovan sounds like trouble.
It might be more fruitful if we were to speak to Robert rather than Donovan.
Rather than Paul.
Paul, yes. I say we have a nice sleep, go home, and then hit this back in the morning.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
If the next step is talking to the kids, that's got to be the right choice. I'm worried we're leaving a trail to let it go cold. How about we drive past this warehouse and see what it looks like?
Sounds perfect.
Actually, I'm going to, just in case, since they're opposite directions, I'm going to take a swing past Skips just to see if the dad or the son happen to be in there. I don't think it'll take me any longer than for you to drive by the building, but I have the feeling that you're right. Just something about that dad being out, if he's out, feels wrong.
Well, it's not like he knows his kid's in trouble. From the sounds of it, it's not like he cares.
Yes.
Okay. So we're splitting the party up. Okay. So, Dr. White, you're going to go over to Skips, and Jack, you were heading toward the warehouse. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and at least giving it a pass by, right?
Yeah, giving it a once over.
Okay, what about Professor Owens?
I'm probably driving Jack to the warehouse and to his apartment.
All right. As you gentlemen drive down the street, you pass the warehouse on the way towards Jack's flat, and you can see that there are the big industrial lights inside, and there's windows like in the top part of it. It has one of those wide flat roofs, not flat, but getting on that squashed area. You can see that the lights are on in the warehouse. One of the offices has lights, window that faces out toward the street, and you can see that there's a light on there, but there's a shade that's drawn.
Has it got goons all around it?
You don't see anybody on the outside.
Well, what do we want to do?
Just keep driving. We'll pick back up on this when it looks like there's a lead.
Sounds good.
Okay. Passing by, you arrive back at Jack's place. Dr. White, you make your way towards where Skips is located. And for the second time this evening, you are met with the strobe lights.
I'm going to rush over in their direction and see what's happening.
Unlike the first time, whenever you see this, you see that the stretcher that they're moving, the sheet is pulled all the way up. The detective that was working the case earlier is already seen. As you move closer, it kind of gives you a look for a moment like, you look familiar. He doesn't say anything.
How big does the body that they're moving on the stretcher look?
That's a good question. It is an adult sized. So.
I think that who all is here besides the detective and the paramedics right now?
Just the police that are there that were like the first arrival on the scene. The paramedics are there. There's a few people standing by. I would like for you to give me an investigation though. As you start to scan the people in here. I think investigate would be a good one.
$11.
11. Huddling in a coat that is apparently too big for its frame, you can see a boy who probably would be in his about 16, 17 or so. He looks like he doesn't feel well. Like he's pale, his cheeks are sunken in a bit. But more importantly, you can see that he looks nervous. He's looking around nervously.
And I'm sorry, where was he? He was inside the...
He's kind of standing in the crowd, like trying to blend in with the crowd of people that are looking.
I'm going to back out of the crowd and get into a dark place, and I'm just going to go into my mist form and go up and watch, and I'm going to wait to see where this boy goes and follow him so I can try to talk to him when he's not in a crowd.
Okay. As you watch the ambulance pull away and the police start to kind of get people to scatter around, the tape is being put up, and you see you can see the detective, and he's not being so quiet. 2 days in one night. This is getting to be ridiculous. We need to find out who's doing this. There's not a bullet wound. There's not a knife. Give me something I can use here. The boy, you watch as he turns and moves in the same direction as the ambulance is going. But not quickly.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go along the rooftop, and when he is on a street that doesn't seem to have a lot of people, or isn't well lit, I'm going to come around the corner and cut him off in my full outfit.
Okay. You watch as his head darts around back and forth, looking and scanning for...
Calm down. It's all right. I just need to talk to you for a minute.
Your initial read on him was very timid. Like, he had his hands tucked into his pocket, holding it closed. His head was kind of bowed and down. When you present yourself in front of him, his hands come out and the coat kind of flares behind him a little bit. And you see he has his hands up and his fingernails are a little bit longer. He looks like a caged animal, like he's ready to fight you.
And I'm going to try and just talk to him as I kind of take a look at him to see if I can tell what's wrong with him. So it's a little bit of like, coming around the corner in this garb and the glowing eyes and using them to read him as I try to talk him down to see if he's even responding to talk.
Okay. So you're taking the situation and trying to change it, would you say?
Yeah, I think so, because I'm trying to get a sense of him, like his emotional or his animal response, but I'm also trying to get a sense of like, do I see that there's something physically wrong with him, like illness-wise?
Okay. Are you going to be using... Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and do change the game, because I think you're trying to take a bad situation and make it... But you're not going toe-to-toe with him. You're not fighting him.
Yeah.
You're not really trying to convince him yet. You're just trying to get him not to, like, rip your throat out, possibly.
So I think I'm going to use Tactical Mind. Again, I'm trying to read his responses. I'm going to use Haunting Visage, just for that intimidation factor. And Eye for Weakness. And actually, I think Smoke Screen, just to throw him off a little bit.
Yeah. As your form kind of shifts and moves a little bit with you, right?
Yeah. Okay, so that's a 10.
Good deal. You kind of like hold your hands up and kind of keep him at bay, trying to keep him calm, but also kind of keeping him off balance. You watch as he brings his hands back. Who are you?
I'm the person who wants to know why you're doing this to these people. Is it an accident?
Maybe. One of them was. The others, they deserved it.
Robert, is that your father that they just took away?
That bastard of a man was not my father. Sure, he may have been responsible for me, but he's no father.
I understand that you have gotten something. There's something different about you now that you are just learning to understand, but you hurt one of your friends tonight, and I understand that that was an accident and that maybe what you did to your father was retribution. But you have to understand, right now, standing here on this street with me, you have a choice. Because if you keep going down this path, more and more people like us are appearing. And they're going to find a way to hunt you down for the things that you do. if you choose to use these gifts, these powers against the people, the good people of this city.
No. You don't know what it's like. I've lived in fear. Put down. People pity me. Oh, poor Robert. Poor little Robert. Now I'm strong. I can do things.
Yes,
I can do things that I couldn't do before.
To help people like you. Imagine if someone strong had been there for you to protect you. Be that thing for someone else, Robert. Don't go down the path that your father led you down for the last 16 years. Be your own man and use that strength not to make other people's situation worse. Lift them up.
But why? Why don't I just use this to rule over them? And if I find them doing bad things, then I can stop them.
Because
they can't fight back.
You don't want to wake up 20 years from now and look in the mirror and see your father.
Well, I'm not a drunk like he is.
You're drunk right now. You're drunk off the things that you can do. It's just a different drug.
Sure, says the man dressed in a costume, standing opposite of me.
Yes, because I'm here to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes. Which side of the law, which side of the people of this city do you think that I'm on? And right now, which side do you think you're on?
I'm on the side that takes care of myself. I don't care what side you're on. You can either let me go and go about my way, or you can stop me. I tell you right now, I'm strong now. I'm so strong. And whenever I did that, it felt good.
I think that I whip my wrist and my Hapkido cane is there. And I'm going to try to engage with him and keep his hand. I really am struggling to keep his hands off of me in this encounter, that I'm using the cane to do its purpose to keep his hands off me.
Okay. So, toe-to-toe?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
So, man, I'm gonna load this up if I can. I'm going to use smoke screen to try to keep him off balance. I'm gonna use Eye for Weakness and Haunting Visage to keep him again guessing.
Face danger. You're right, not toe-to-toe. Thank you.
And then I think under Surgical Precision, I'm gonna use Hapkido. And I think I'm going to use all these, actually. Tactical Mind and use Opponent's Momentum, because it seems like he is going to be lunging at me.
Right. So, yeah, Carl is right. Face danger as opposed to going toe-to-toe, because you guys aren't, fighting. You're just facing up against what he's doing.
Okay. 15.
I would say that is a rousing successor. He does. He lunges, and you immediately use your cane to whip his hands around and kind of twist and flip him off into the street. And as you do, he almost cartwheels over, and you watch as he does that dramatic, heroic slide where his hand catches the ground to stop himself. He looks at you and takes off running in a different direction. He's running away from you.
Yes. How fast is he? Fast?
He is amazingly fast. For how pale and frail he looked, the first thing you notice is how strong he was, because even moving him, you could feel the strength in his arm, and it was surprisingly strong. And whenever you flipped him, he moved so fast, he twisted himself around, and when he darted off, he's just gone.
Yeah, I don't have any way to keep up with him. I think I am I'm probably headed straight to Jack's place because I don't know where they're at, but I think that if he's getting dropped off by Robert, hopefully I'll catch them.
Okay. Making your way as quickly as you can. It's a little bit of a trip. The one thing that I will add to this is as he was running away, his jacket fluttered, and it gives you more the impression of, instead of popping cloth in the wind, like a fluttering of wings. You eventually find yourself arriving at Jack's place. Robert's car is there. Professor Owen's vehicle is there. And you can see that Jack is just stepping out of the vehicle as you make your way.
Yeah, so I will. At this point, I am myself again. It's the boy. It's Robert. He's got something. He killed his father. He may have killed others. It seems that Jerry was an accident, but he said the others weren't, and he got away. He is strong and fast, and his hands seem dangerous.
Others as in plural?
That's what he said. He said the others were not. I don't know if...
Do you think there's any point in pointing the authorities at him?
I have been at this a while, and I struggled to keep him off of me.
What do you want to do? Are we going after him?
I think we have to. We can't let him loose. You have to understand, I tried to talk with him, to reason with him, and whatever his father has put him through in his 16 years on this planet has sunk into his head, and now he wants to take it out on everyone else that he now sees as weaker than himself.
Well, I think there's one thing we must do in that case. Show him we're stronger than he is.
Yes.
If he's not afraid to kill people, he does need to be somehow.
I would
All right.
like to...
He's got the lead on us. Sorry. He's got the lead on us, so we got to think like him. Where does a kid go when he's running from a fight, but he feels invincible, fearless? He goes to someplace safe or someplace comfortable?
Could I get any indication, just in the sense of Jack's knowledge of this town, or this part of town particularly, which direction Robert ran off?
He seems like he was heading more towards so imagine the row, which isn't a wide, it's narrow, but it's lengthy. So you have like a dock side, you have like the middle area, and then you have the far end. The far end would be closer to uptown, so it's like where the uptown and kind of the row starts. So
Like where office buildings and stuff still are.
right, and it'd be more upscale, not as nice as the uptown, but still nicer. He started heading back towards the middle area, so like pretty much straight away behind you. Jack would probably be on, again, it's not wide, but it's wide enough that it's a clear differentiation. So let's say Jack's place is on the right hand side. If you're looking at a top map, like top down, he ran kind of on the left, more about where you guys were at, and kind of closer to where, in the direction that like the ambulance would have taken to St. Augustine. Or St. Augustine is in that direction that he went.
I am going to have Abiel take to the skies and see if she can't locate along with my dragonfly.
Hey, Doc,
Okay.
you said he went after his dad.
Yes.
Do you know if Paul's dead?
I mean, the cloth was over his face when they were putting him on the stretcher, but I suppose he could be going to make sure.
Where do they take bodies?
Well, I imagine that the hospital has a morgue.
So either way, it's going to the hospital.
Yeah.
Well, whether what he's thinking about right now is his father or his friend that he hurt by accident, sounds like that's the place to go.
Yes, I'm inclined to agree.
That means if that's where we find him, there's risk. There's collateral damage. There's lots of people. So we got to figure out whether he's there or not, and we've got to do it. We're there. Bad with. Does that sound right?
Yes, I think so.
Professor, you, is that where you sent the thing?
Yeah, sort of the direction he was heading. Do you want me to roll? To see if my Myrmidons see him?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Might of the Masses, Specialist Species. And I think with the weakness tag anchored to the hive.
Yes, it would come into play. You are getting dangerously close to being at the edge of where your powers. At least you think.
Alright. Then that's an investigate with a 9. It would be a 7, my migraine.
7. That's right, 7. They do spot the form of someone running rapidly, heading north, heading towards the direction that you told them that Donovan Robert was running. They report back that he was moving and he seemed to kind of he didn't run like a human in a straight line or even like a zigzag. He seemed to kind of move in almost an erratic pattern. More importantly, the dragonfly, when got close, the kind of the essence or the aura, the nature of him terrified him in a predator prey kind of way.
It terrified the dragonfly? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's worrying. That's worrying. I suppose we head that way? Unless you two have any other ideas?
Sounds like we gotta.
Yeah.
What's going on with your friend?
Well, they found him, and apparently, Labille, here, got terrified. That's the dragonfly. Into my dragonfly now.
I don't want to be food.
What scares a bug the size of a bus?
Okay, to be fair, he's not the size of a bus, but that's funny.
That's what's worrying me, because dragonflies are top predators.
Yeah. Guess we better hurry.
Yeah. So we speed off into the distance with my driver. I haven't figured out a name for him yet. Driving.
All right. So you guys take off towards the hospital. As you arrive, you can see that the ambulance is pulled around. The one that you saw earlier is pulled around to the back on the bottom side, where the morgue is. The drivers are out, but it looks like that they are wrapping up paperwork. One of them is out. The other EMT is actually inside of the ambulance, and you can see the one that's standing outside is using the light from the hospital to finish up his paperwork. Doesn't look like he's being disturbed by anything.
Once we get there, I'm going to send both of them out again to see if they see Robert.
Okay. Go ahead and give me an investigation roll, please.
Okay. Same power tags?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a 5. But I'm going to burn Might of the Masses.
Okay. To allow them to work together as a synergy.
Yep.
To see if they can spot it, and giving yourself an automatic success.
Yes.
Abby is not as shaken. The dragonfly drops beside you, and he points on the other side of the ambulance. There is a rise wall, so there's a ramp that comes down, and at the top of the wall, this supporting wall, you can see bushes and things like that. As you're watching, the moonlight hits perfect, and you can see a pair of yellowish, like that reflection of yellow eyes in there. The form that drops from there is smaller. It's on a thin frame, but with a big coat. As he drops, he doesn't drop heavily. He kind of and lands easily. The coat billows behind him. You see hands go tucked into the coat. The shoulders hunch up and the head comes down again. Very familiar looking pose, Dr. White.
And you said there was one person still out here?
Yeah, there's 2 EMTs.
2.
One of them is in the vehicle. The other one is on the passenger side. But as you watch, he kind of opens the door and throws in his clipboard, and then puts his hand on the hold and kind of climbs into the vehicle.
Okay.
And the figure that just hopped out, where is he in relation to the kind of loading up ambulance?
Sure. So the ambulance, so there's several bays, kind of like, with roll-up doors, allowing access for different vehicles. This area is kind of a big, like, semicircle, so that the bigger vehicles can kind of pull in and back out so that they can get out of the space. They are at the first bay. He would be down at the far end of the semicircle, jumping down and like making his way towards like where the third bay would be.
So I think just to the group, we're outside. There's almost nobody here to get caught in the crossfire. Is this where we try to take him, or do we see what he's doing?
It's now or never.
Your audio.
You think that's likely the ambulance you saw carrying the...
Yes, I imagine.
Then I think it's likely we already know what he's doing. Let's go get in his way.
All right.
And I take out another... Nope, never mind, I don't. I'm at my limit. I can do math.
It's all Dr. Owen. It's all Professor Owens from here on out. All right. As you guys start to make your way, I assume, like to the first bay there, the ambulance pulls out, and as it does, it's like watching an old film. The van moves out of the way, and standing opposite of you is Robert Donovan. Are you back in your?
Yes, I
Raven?
imagine that same thing, like in that same way that the van passes and it's Dr. White and then it is the Raven.
Yep. Guys, my video seems to have stopped, so but we'll carry on because you can still hear me. Oh, there. Bye.
No. Oh.
There I am.
Oh.
Now I'm back again.
I am the MC now.
Oh, I'm terrified.
I win.
I'm the awesome Dr. White. I get to be Dr. White. That's awesome. He stands opposite of you as you are in your uniform once again. You watch as his hands open up, and as he does, he snarls, his lip moves up, and clearly in this light, you can see his fangs, his teeth. They're elongated.
I would just like, before we fight, can I make just one plea to him?
You may.
If it's fine with you two. And the MC, of course.
Do me one quick favor. Go ahead and stop your video and restart it for me, please.
Oh, right, yes.
Perfect. Almost. Almost perfect.
Close, yeah.
So, what would you like to try and plead with him?
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We are going to say, Robert, look, you don't want to do this. It is 6 versus 1. We all have trained with our powers. Do you really think you have? We can help you. We can teach you to use your powers for the betterment of this world. Do not cross us.
I mean, you can try to. You can give me a convince if you'd like to.
Sweet.
Should have had you do that earlier, Dr. White. I apologize.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, so can I use my insects as sort of like an intimidation factor, since, you know, there's like a giant hulking scarab, like a giant bee? At least as some sort of like, I obviously know what I'm doing when it comes to powers. Sort of like a extra oomph.
As an intimidation factor, maybe, but as a convincing factor,
Well, I'm like trying to intimidate him.
No. I understand
join
what you're
him.
trying to do. I don't think that it works that way. Join us or else. You got that right.
I mean, more of a don't do this, and if you don't do this, we can help you.
No.
Okay.
I'm still gonna. The bugs are great for intimidating if you're trying to convince them to do something, but trying to convince them not to use their power while you have like 2 giant bugs that are trying to intimidate him doesn't send the right message, I believe.
Okay. Sounds good. And then that comes with migraine.
Self-imposed.
Hey, it was worth it.
Sure.
Anyone want to help me out on this, fellas?
So this is the part where like the team behind him all flexes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I could do to help. I used up my one good monologue for the episode.
It was so good, though. I mean, it really was. I was almost convinced. You know what, though? I'll let you give him help on this. Because you've had the same conversation, and now that there's someone to back you up with it.
Oh, okay.
That
Yeah,
makes
so I
sense.
could, tag-wise, I could give him Port in the Storm, which is from the Healing Hands, just my
Yeah.
being unflappable.
Yeah, that's fantastic. There you go.
So would that be a +1?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one extra tag.
Yeah, and I gave you that aspirin earlier, which that's at least a +1.
No.
Did it help? Did it bring my migraine from a 2 to a 1? Did it help my migraine? Oh,
because your migraine is tied to your ability and not necessarily your physical actual state. So
okay.
it's like an exhaustion on you.
Then that is a 0. Ooh, that's a 5.
A net 5.
Can I burn another tag?
I thought you were saying you rolled and got a total of 0.
So did I.
I thought that he said that originally. It's like, before you do that,
Okay.
he just screams out, "Why don't you leave me alone?" And he rushes towards you guys. Now, what tag would you like to burn?
I would good at talking.
What?
Yeah.
How long have you had that?
He's had it the whole time.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a weakness.
It's one of those I'm so bumbling I can't help but be liked. Is sort of how I've sort of, got it in my mind's eye.
He's rushing towards you now. So what are you doing? You gonna burn that tag to go? No, stop!
Now well, I mean, if he's rushing towards me, I'm going to let's burn entomological variation for
You gonna throw an insect in front of him?
Yeah, for my driver to
A scarab.
Yeah, for my giant bulky beetle to restrain him without letting his hands touch anything.
That doesn't seem likely.
Dark and light. Jack, what are you guys doing?
Never mind.
I'm gonna let you. The scarab can step in front of you. That's absolutely fine.
Okay, then
I think your driver bodyguarding still sounds like a perfectly valid thing that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Jack is going to exhale and draw his gun as the guy is charging towards us.
And I think that is what I am looking for. Like, I'm looking to see if Jack is drawing his gun, and I am going to use my powers to aid him if I think he's going to shoot.
Jack, he is not stopping.
Okay, so I'm going to then burn the entomological variation to get my scarab to restrain him.
He is not moving towards you. I mean, the three of you are standing side by side, but he's not going for you.
Not going for me.
Not going for Professor Owens.
Well, I even if I'm not the target, I'm still. Oh.
Well done.
Okay.
He is moving incredibly fast. As his jacket flutters out behind him, it sounds like the flapping of wings. You can see his teeth are elongated. His fingernails have turned almost claw-like. As he runs, he had a beanie on his head. As he runs, you see it kind of like flies off, and his ears are pointed. Your scarab goes to try to encircle and grab him, Is it face danger or toe-to-toe? I think it's more toe-to-toe, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Because I'm trying to, like, strength. It would, like, a strength check if we're using D&D terms.
If we're using D&D terms, but it's going to be toe-to-toe because it's going to be basically opposing.
Yeah. So I would roll that and then just burn the tag.
Okay.
Or-
Which gives you a success, is that right?
Yes.
Or gives your bug a success?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He is restrained. I'm going to now impose a story tag on you guys. As the scarab ensnares and encircles him, you watch as his form seems to dissipate and then reform over beside you, or over in front of Dr. White. His hands and fangs are still out. You can't stop me! And he lunges at White.
All right. I think that I am going to just go into my smoke form. Having seen him do something similar.
Mm-hmm. Just two smokes colliding. All right. Jack, what are you doing?
Something stupid. I don't want to shoot a kid. So I'm going to attempt to pistol whip this monster and see if I can knock it out.
That's risky.
Yeah. I would like to use my relic tags for Colt 1911 and one that I've never gotten to use before called Effects Change. Because I think what I'm trying to do here is change the game. I think I'm trying to turn this combat situation into this kid unconscious. And
Okay. Okay, I like it.
I'm also going to use Hold My Own Under Stress and Tough as Nails.
All right.
Do you think any of my weaknesses should apply?
Let's talk about those for a moment. Which ones do you have that you... I don't think any of them would be, because like stick out like a sore thumb, no backup, no badge doesn't really apply here.
I have one called Sleepless Nights. I also have one for the relic called Heavy Burden.
Sleepless Night may come into it because of the fact that, again, like I said, you've been up for a while now.
Right.
What is Heavy Burden? How do you see that affecting it?
Well, I'm hoping that maybe I'm avoiding that weakness because I'm specifically trying not to kill this kid.
Oh, Heavy Burden would have come into a play, like say if you would have shot something because of the burden of actually using the weapon on someone.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Then I think Sleepless Night would be the only weakness I can see.
Okay. So, it's up to you. What do you think I'm doing? Am I trying to face danger? Am I trying to hit with all I got?
You tell me. Do you want to
Okay.
hit it with all you've got, or do you want to try to change the game? I mean, it's a risky move for me because it seems like the easiest move would be just to fire the weapon, but you're trying to go against that because, like you said, you don't want to hit a kid.
So hit with all you've got is basically going to try to use my power against his face danger or whatever to mitigate it being just direct damage. Change the game. I'm literally trying to bypass the damage idea and just knock him out.
I like change the game for this.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead and give me that roll.
That's a 10.
10. You feel the claws right on you. Right as they're about to go, you see the hand coming as you turn to your smoke form. And you watch Jack spin and move, and it's quick. And there's just a big, heavy sound of a thud. You watch as the kid's hands and body just kind of crumple to the ground. And he is out cold.
So, what do we do with him now?
Step one sounds like tie him up.
But he
He does the thing where he changes into the thing. Great.
I have a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. I need to make a phone call. And I am going to call June Perkins, see if she can't make me some magic rope. She's got all that magic, you know?
Whew. You better be ready to pay for it.
Professor Owens, I'm happy to help out, of course, as always. Now, of course, there's a little bit of a quid pro quo, if you... A little, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Of course. How is Jacqueline, by the way?
Delightful. Anyways, I can get you a rope. Can I ask what it's for?
Well, we've encountered another one of whatever we are, and they seem more out for blood than, well, even you were. And they have weird smoke dissipation magic. So we
I
need
was
to make
not
sure
out
he
for
doesn't.
blood. I was merely trying to keep my business alive. and
You
make
did
sure-
murder a few people.
Oh, all in the name of keeping myself going and thriving. Anyways, shall I come by here shortly? Where are you? Where can I find you?
We are. Do we want to meet? Like, out of character question, do we want to have her come here, or do we want to meet at a secondary?
You should totally ask in character.
Do we want her to be here, or do we want her to meet somewhere else?
I don't want to move him. Tell her to come here.
Saint
Do we
August.
want to be here when another ambulance comes to park?
Shh. No.
All right.
Well, I don't want to move him far.
How far away is the Tilt-A-Whirl?
Oh, the Tilt-A-Whirl's closer to Uptown.
Hey, Doc, you think you can find something in one of those ambulances?
Oh. Yes. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna turn and walk into the garage for the ambulances and see if there's one there, and grab a couple things out to keep him sedated.
That is easy enough for you to find. You're not looking for chemically induced coma. Just keep him out
Yes,
for a little bit
exactly.
longer.
Yeah.
All right.
I just say, let's just meet at the Tilt-A-Whirl. We'll come to you.
All right. I do want you to roll for investigate, please, Dr. White, just to make sure you can find what you're looking for. I know that this is going to come into play with your medical cabinet, medicine cabinet thing.
Yeah. 10.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. You find exactly what you're looking for. Noticing that one of the vehicles has not been put away yet. It looks like they were getting ready for prep. You quickly grab what you need and slide back over, and he is out cold. You load up the vehicle and arrive at the Tilt-A-Whirl. I assume that's what you said you were going to, right? Going to see her?
Yes.
As you bring him up to her office via the rear entrance, because that is where she is standing and has asked you to arrive.
Actually, if possible, just sort of grab the rope and then head back to my place where there's like a bunch of insects in case of.
As you arrive at her place and you take her upstairs, you set Robert down on the chair, and she says, "Well, he's just a boy." That's a nasty goose egg on his head. But I guess it's better than a gunshot, Jack.
Some people say.
Professor Owens, I would love to make magic rope, but unfortunately that is outside of my purview. However, I can help out in some small way.
Whatever you can do. We just need some way to bind him. Make sure he stays physical.
Oh, I'll make sure he stays where he's at.
Hang on a minute.
Without murdering him. That
You
should have
sound
been
shifty.
I'm not gonna murder him.
What are you doing?
Take it away.
That's what I thought.
Would you rather me do that?
Where does it go?
That I have never asked. I can assure you, Jack, that I don't get it. I know that's where your mind is at.
Is it everything, or is it just
Everything.
everything? Well,
Leave him with me. I'll make sure he makes it back home safe. He won't be murdered, I promise. But I'll take care of it.
thank you, Miss Peck.
What's it cost?
Oh. I'll seek a favor from Professor Owens later.
Of course.
You know, although there is one thing I really use. Get your little bug friend out of my house. I don't like pests.
Oh, Jacqueline. Jacqueline's not a pest. She's a paper wasp. They're
Stop
actually very important.
Talking.
Of course.
That is my agreement. All right. Nothing will come of the boy, I promise. And I do keep my promises.
Good to hear.
Now, my question to you three gentlemen, do you leave the boy in her care?
I'm telling June. How long do you need? 24 hours?
That should suffice. Mm-hmm.
All right. In 24 hours, the authorities know what crimes he's done and that this is the last place he was seen unless he's home.
You're a hard case, Jack. I like that. That's what I like about you. You leave him to Mama June. I promise you he'll be home right as rain. And if he doesn't return home right as rain, then I'll make sure that I turn myself over to the police.
That'll be a day.
Cross my heart.
Well,
Doctors, what do you think?
I don't think we have any other option if we can't bind the powers.
Yes, and if you won't see reason, or if whatever's in him is just amplifying his anger or his frustration, I don't know that he'll be less of a threat come 24 hours from now. At least in the sense of the damage he wants to do, but at least he won't be able to do it as easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. June, do what you...
All right. I'll take care of it from here. Thank you so much. Getting
And
your wasp out of here.
Come along, Jacqueline. And I actually just shrink her. I don't take her with me, just so there's a wasp in her office. Just to...
Okay.
and I think as we're walking out and going down the stairs out the back, kind of the last thought I leave with them just before we kind of go our separate ways for the night is I don't like the idea that she doesn't know where it goes. I didn't do a lot of science outside of the medical sciences, but I do remember that energy cannot be created or destroyed. So it's going somewhere.
Well, I see it as one of two options. One, it was with us since we were born, and in that case, it could either be removed like a spleen, I guess, and just left to dissipate, or it could be just pushed so deep down that it could never show back up. Or it came with the storm, and whatever she does just puts it back wherever it was.
Yeah. Let's just hope that we don't have her do it enough that it creates a second storm.
I don't think she would much can be in our disposal.
That's true.
figured-
We're almost out of favors.
Yeah, that would get awfully expensive.
Definitely.
All right. Any last words? Not in a fatal way, just for the evening. Then, as you all return to your respective buildings to rest for the evening, finally for some of you, and night falls fully on the city, June Perkins sits in her office looking at the comatose boy, not comatose, but the sedated boy. Picks up the phone and makes a single phone call. Hello? Yes. I found your missing property. You should keep a leash on this one. No, I made a promise to some folks. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, goodbye. Thank you all for watching Obscurum, the City of Mist game. I have been your MC for the evening. My name is Heath. You can find me on Twitter at DireBearAC. You can find me on Twitch at DireBearGM. I have been the absolute pleasure of being joined by these fantastic gentlemen this evening. We will start with Carl. Tell us who you are.
Hi, I am Carl Jordan, Twitter as RPG, where I talk a lot about gaming and movies. You can find me on Tuesday nights on the Onyx Path doing an Aberrant game called Community Service, where we were all sentenced to community service and wound up with superpowers instead. It's using the new 2.0 rules, so it's a lot of fun. We're muddling through it terribly. And you can find me here every Wednesday night.
Excellent. Colton.
Hi, I'm Colton. I am on Twitter at ColtonZ9 and Instagram at ColtonX9, and I'm here every Wednesday. Being tortured by our wonderful MC.
Nothing but love.
Oh yeah.
And Rev.
I am Rev. You can find me on Twitter at Rev Deshane. I play Dr. Alexander White, and I am the host and GM of The Crit Show, a Powered by the Apocalypse actual play podcast. We're in our second season now. We have new episodes every Wednesday for the last year and a half.
Awesome. This has been Obscurum, a Nerdsmith production. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'd like to also thank our sponsors. That is World Anvil, Light Up the Forge with World Anvil, as well as Die Hard Dice. Roll with the best with Die Hard Dice. Remember, folks, Nerdsmith is taking a little vacation next week to celebrate Thanksgiving in the United States. So we would like to take that time to be thankful for all of our viewers out there and all of your support. In the meantime, we will see you not next week, but the following. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great night, everyone.
See ya.